What is up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood web word fanatic, and today we got a little bit of a different type of video for you. This would be my top 5 favorite board games that I love playing, and these would be my top 5 favorite games right now at the end of 2024. So, over the Thanksgiving weekend, me and my wife have been playing a bunch of different board games, and I recently saw a video from one of my favorite board game content creators, D20 Woodworking, where him and his wife ranked like their favorite board games of all time. So I thought I want to make my own video here, and I want to shout out some games that I've been playing a lot recently. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the list here. So at spot number 5, it is Marvel's Splendor. And this game I've been playing for a while now. And this is kind of like the first game that really got me into playing board games. Basically, if you don't know, there is a Splendor game, I guess. I've never played the Splendor version. I've only played the Marvel version. You guys probably know from this channel, but I love the Marvel IP. I love Spider-Man, all the Avengers and all that stuff. So Splendor here, this is the box. It has like Thanos on the cover. And then, so basically the objective of this game, it's a 2 to 4 player game. And the objective is to get 16 points. So basically what you need to win is right here, like the Infinity Gauntlet. You got to get 16 points, and you'll basically spend every single turn doing one action. You can either like collect coins, or you can purchase a card. And basically, you want to purchase these Marvel cards, which all feature a Marvel character. And whenever they add up to 16 points, then you win the game, right? So, for example, if you buy this She-Hulk card right here, it has 1 point. If you buy like Jessica Jones right here, it's 3 points. If you buy the Nick Fury card, it's 1 point. Doctor Strange right here is 4 points. So basically, you're just buying these cards, and whenever you get 16 points, you can win. But it's really fun because you can block other people from buying their own cards by stealing the card that you think that they're gonna buy whenever it's your turn before they have a turn. If you get, like, for example, right here, it says if you get 3 yellow cards, 3 blue cards, and 3 red cards, then you get this thing right here, which gives you, 3 points. If you get at least 3 Avengers, so cards with like the Avengers trait, like She-Hulk right here, Nick Fury has that Avengers thing right there, then you get this Avengers card, and then that's also a 3 points that goes towards your 16 points right here. And each time you purchase a card, like with the coins, right, like every single card has like a price that you need to pay for it. So this card right here would be like 4 yellow coins, so you need these yellow coins right here. For the She-Hulk card, it's going to be 3 yellow coins, 2 orange coins, and 2 purple coins. But each time you purchase a card, this card will also act as a coin for you from now on, right? So if I have the She-Hulk card and I'm buying like the Abomination card right here, I only need 1 red, 1 orange, and 2 blue coins because I have the She-Hulk card counting as a purple coin, and I don't need to throw it away. Like I can keep the She-Hulk card; it counts towards my my team of Marvel characters. And yeah, so the strategy is just basically trying to build out your collection of cards, and then each time you get different colors on your cards, you can also they also count as a coin for you, so you don't have to spend as much time wasting your turn taking coins, because you can have cards be coins for you. And this is a very fun interactive game. And the thing I really like about this game is that every single time the game starts, you start off with 0, then everyone has nothing, and then you like kind of build out your card collection, and you compete with everyone else. There's a lot of strategy to it, and there is some luck based on it as well, right? So depending on which card flips up, it might be a really good card that flips up right when your turn begins, and you can buy that card immediately before everyone else can. But you can also take a look at everyone else that's playing and then like block them off. And there's a lot of strategy to it as well. So I really like this game because I feel like it's very balanced. I feel like every time that I play, I have a chance to win, and I feel like that it's just not too luck based, but it's not too it's just a perfect amount of luck based as well. So this game I've been playing for a while, so it's maybe not as high up for me anymore, but this used to be one of my favorite games, and it still is. It's still in the top 5. So yeah, if you guys have not played Marvel Splendor, you should definitely check it out. It's super duper fun, and I love looking at all the cool Marvel characters and the different arts on the cards whenever I'm building out my collection. Okay, so let's move on to my number 4 favorite game, which is gonna be El Dorado. And this is a game that I've only recently started playing. Shout outs to my friends in Carolina, Tam and HD. So basically, they introduced me to this game. And El Dorado, I believe, means the Golden City. And basically, this is you make this map here, and there's a bunch of different maps that you can make in the rulebook, and you're just trying to get through. These are like the characters right here. So there's like the red character, the yellow one, and then the blue one. And basically, you're just traveling from the beginning line over here, and you're just moving over all the way to the finish line. And whoever finishes and gets to the Golden City first wins the game. It's kind of like a traveling type of game, And it's similar to Catan. I don't know if you guys have played Catan, but I feel like it's a little bit more peaceful, and there's more interactive things that I feel like you can do. So basically, you have a deck of cards right here. So everyone has, their deck of cards, and this is like the blue player's deck of cards. This is the red player's deck of cards, and there's also a marketplace. So right here, and every single turn you can only do one action. I love games that you can just do one action because I feel like it's very simple and easy to introduce to newer players, but at the same time it can also get complex with the different amount of strategies that you can do per turn if you like think about what you want to do. And so basically you have your deck of cards, and then you draw up to 4 cards, which is always going to be your hand size. And with those 4 cards, you can either move if the card corresponds with where you need to move to. So for example, if you want to move onto a green spot, you'll need a green card. If you want to move to a yellow spot, then you need a yellow card. And then some spots you require higher level of cards in order to move. And if you want to cross the sea, then you need like a sailor card, which is the blue card right here from the marketplace. So basically, you can either choose to spend your cards to buy other cards, which then go into your discard pile. And whenever you deck out here, you reshuffle the discard pile back into your deck, and you can use those cards that you bought to make turns or to buy other cards. And it's a kind of a balance here to try to choose how fast you want to actually use your cards to move across the board, or do you want to build out your deck first, right? Do you want to build cards from the marketplace so you have higher quality cards? And then there's also ways to discard or remove cards from the game permanently, right? So if you land on the spot right here, or if you want to move onto this spot, you have to remove a card from your hand from the game, like forever from the game. So if you can move here intentionally to get rid of a weaker card after you bought a bunch of really good cards to put in your deck. So then your deck is no longer diluted with like weaker cards, and it has a bunch of strong, powerful cards that you bought, not just the starter cards that you started off the deck with. So similar to Marvel Splendor, you start every game in El Dorado the exact same. Everyone has a kind of a even start. If you go first, I do feel like it is a bigger advantage because you get the first chance to buy cards or first chance to move. But the way that the board is set up, it balances a little bit to where the first player is a little bit further from the finish line, but not by that much. So I still think it's an advantage to go first. But it's very fun because you can block other players off. And it's always, there's a lot of interesting decision making opportunities because you have to choose every single turn if you want to buy certain cards and can you afford them versus moving along the board. And I love planning out buying like big cards right before I deck out, because when you buy a card they always go into your discard pile, and then whenever you shuffle it back up you may get them right during the next turn if you plan it out correctly. So I've been really enjoying El Dorado, and if you guys have not heard of this game, I definitely recommend it. It is tons of fun. Yeah, it's quite a peaceful game. So some games like Marvel Splendor, it can get a little bit more intense if people are blocking each other and buying their cards. This game you can also block each other, but it doesn't feel as intentional. I guess it feels like whenever you block up, it's just because like you really want to move there, not necessarily doing it on purpose. So I think this is a little bit more of a peaceful game if you guys don't want as much warfare in the household. But yeah, this is my number 4 favorite game that I love playing right now, El Dorado. So the game in the number 3 spot is also a newer game that I've only recently been introduced to, and it's called Coup. And yeah, Coup is probably the most easy to play game on this list. It's super duper simple, and that's one of my favorite parts about this game. I think all the other games are a little bit more complex, but this is a super duper easy game to bring people into, especially people that have not been playing a lot of board games. This is probably my definitely like the gateway game I think that can easily introduce someone into board games, and they'll have fun playing it, and they don't need to think too much about the rules. So it looks a little bit complex at first. So basically there's these 5 cards right here, and they all have a different character or whatever, right? So this is like the Contessa, the Captain, the Duke, the Assassin, and the Ambassador. And you have the deck with all these cards, and it's a super duper small box. Like this Coup box right here is just super duper small, and it has all the cards and these coins in there. All the coins are the exact same, and there are 3 copies of each one of these cards that deck. So basically, there's just 15 cards and 3 of each of these cards. This is a 2 to 6 player game. I definitely recommend playing at the higher player counts. I think it's a little bit more fun because more people have cards. Basically, every player has 2 cards, and you hold them in your hand, and no one else knows which cards you have, right? So, for example, I may have like the Captain and the Duke, and basically every single card has a different ability. And you want to collect these coins because if you collect 7 coins, then you can spend 7 coins to assassinate someone. And then basically, if you assassinate someone, they lose one of their cards. And the last player that has 1 card and still has a character card wins a game. So basically, you're just trying to assassinate everyone else, and it's like a espionage like Coup type of game. So you don't know what the other players have, and each one of these cards have different abilities, right? So for example, the Duke, you can pick 3 coins from the pot, right? Like during your turn, right? So every single turn you just do one action, and you can choose to use your ability or just collect coins. So the Duke, so normally you can just collect 1 coin. If you say income, you just take 1 coin from the pot and then you pass your turn, right? If you have the Duke card in your hand, you can say I have the Duke card, then you take 3 coins, but you don't reveal it, so no one knows if you actually have the Duke card or not, and you just take 3 coins, which is way better than just one. If you do that, someone could challenge you if they wanted to. So they can say, I challenge you. If they challenge you, you have to show your Duke card. If you don't have it, then you have to discard one of your character cards and you lose it forever for that game. And these games, they go super quick because you only have 2 characters. So if you lose both your cards, you lose. I mean, I play games where it's like 3 minutes long. They can be super duper short. They might be a little bit longer, like 10 minutes if you have a higher player count. But yeah, basically, it's a bluffing game. And if someone calls your bluff, then you lose your card. If they challenge you and you do have the Duke card, then you show and you review everyone your Duke card. And then the player that challenged you must choose one of their cards to discard. So now they lose one of their 2 cards, and if you take out the other one, then they're out of the game. And when you review your Duke card, now everyone knows you have that card, so you have to shuffle it back into the deck, and then you draw back one more card to always keep your 2 characters, because you shouldn't get punished because you actually had the Duke card. So basically, it's really, really fun because there's oftentimes where I have like 1 card left in my hand, and then I'll be like, it's a captain. So captain's ability, I can steal 2 coins from a different player. So I'll take 2 coins from a different player, and then the next turn, I'll be like, I'll have the same card, and I'll be like, it's assassin. I'm gonna spend 3 coins to like, assassinate one of your characters. And it's like, I still have 1 card that didn't change, and I never had the captain all along, but no one called the bluff. So then I can like pretend it's assassin now, and it's really funny whenever you have like the same card and you pretend it's multiple things throughout different rounds, and then no one calls your bluff because they're not sure which is the time that you're actually telling the truth. So yeah, it's a really fun bluffing game, and it's really simple, and this is definitely the easiest game that I would recommend for people that have not played a lot of board games. But even if you have played a lot of board games, I think it's super duper fun still. Yeah, so Coup is one of my third favorite game right now. And then number 2 for my second spot for my favorite game to play right now is Disney Lorcana. And you guys have probably seen that I played a few Lorcana games on the channel. I need to get back to playing some more. But Lorcana, I mean, it's super duper fun. The IP is one of my favorite things about this game. It's Disney, so it has all these amazing classic Disney characters, so much nostalgia. So like you have Stitch, you have Elsa, Cruella de Vil, you have Captain Hook, Robin Hood, Maleficent, the dragon here, and they all have different effects. And basically, there's a whole this is a trading card game, so it can get a little bit more competitive. But the thing I like about Lorcana is that I feel it strikes a really good balance between almost breaking into a board game compared to just being like a straight up TCG. What I mean by that is that people that have not played, so I've introduced this game to a lot of people that have not played trading card games, and even players that have not played a lot of board games, and it's very easy to get into. I would say this is the easiest trading card game to start playing. The rules are super duper simple. This game's only been out for a little bit over a year now, so you could make the argument that it's a little bit not as developed as like other card games, like Magic, The Gathering, Pokemon, or Yu-Gi-Oh. So there's less like concepts or less mechanics, so that's why it's a little bit easier right now. But that's one thing I really like about the game, how simple it is. And I mean, there so far in the game there is no power creep, which is one really big thing that I like about the game. That the first cards from set 1 are still as good as all the newer cards from set 6 right now. And I just enjoy playing a game where I don't feel like I have to continuously buy new cards to keep up with everything. I love games that don't have a lot of power creep. But once again, this game is still relatively new, so there may be power creep that comes up in the future. But right now, I think that it's in a really good spot where there is no power creep in the game. It's a very simple mechanic. Basically, you want to just quest to 20 lore, and whenever you hit 20 lore, then you win the game. And you can send your characters on a quest. But whenever you send them on a quest, you have to exert them. So that's kind of like called tapping them in Magic. So I've heard. And whenever they're tapped, like the cards turn sideways, they're now vulnerable to attacks. So like if Robin Hood quests here, he has a quest out of 2 right here. If you quest for 2, he's now vulnerable, and then the Elsa or the Stitch can attack the Robin Hood. It's a really fun game, and my favorite thing about Lorcana is that you don't have to be super duper like aggressive, like fighting and attacking people. You can really just quest out, which in my experience leads to less warfare in the household, because you don't feel like, oh, like we're being teamed up against people trying to attack us. We're just trying to quest and gain lore to win. And this is one game that I think is super easy to jump into, but it's extremely difficult to master. And the nuances of the game get really crazy. The better that you get and the more things that you see. For example, whenever I first started playing Lorcana, I always like to go second, because whenever you go second, you can draw a card. When you go first, you don't get to draw a card. But as I play the game more and more, I realized that I did not understand the game at all, because it's way better to go first because you get a head start and you can start gunning lore quicker. And it's more of an advantage to go first, even though you don't get to draw a card when you go first, to kind of balance it out, because you still get that head start. So in my opinion, it's a very difficult game to get really good at, but it's a very easy game to start and learn how to play. And the reason why I feel like this is very similar to other board games compared to like a trading card game is because if you just buy like the star decks. So recently I introduced the game to some friends, and we only had the star decks from Illuminer's Quest. These like pre-constructed decks, and we also bought a booster box. So basically, we just had only that, and we built some decks, just kind of randomly grabbing cards from whatever we had, because we didn't have that much of a collection for 4 players, and it was tons of fun. The game felt super duper balanced. It felt like all of our decks, had a chance to beat each other, and we used like different ink colors for each one. It was just super duper fun, and one of my favorite things about Lorcana is that the modes of play is because it's so simple, there's so many different modes of play that you can use the same rules for, and it just works out, right? So for example, you can do 1v1. That's kind of like the most competitive way to play, but we can also do 3 players, so 1v1v1, and it's super balanced and super duper fun. I played a lot of other TCGs where if you do the 3-player format, it's really unbalanced because you're attacking players and it just feels like someone sneaks up. But for Lorcana, because everyone's kind of questing, you can kind of block out players whenever you need to, and everyone kind of feels like they're doing their own thing. And it's one of my favorite games to play when you only have 3 players to play. And whenever you have 4 players, you can do one of my favorite ways to play, which is 2v2. So then you can team up against another team of 2, and so me and my wife teamed up with my friend and his wife, and then we just played Lorcana that way, trying to gun to 40 lore for each team. And we can also do 1v1v1v1 if you have 4 players as well. It's just a super duper fun and balanced game. And the big thing that got me into Lorcana was actually there's a co-op version of the game. I mentioned earlier with Illuminer's Quest, A Deep Trouble. That is, there's only currently one villain in the game right now, and it's Ursula. And basically, you can team up in a co-op, setting to defeat Ursula. You can play it solo, so if you only have one deck by yourself, you can still fight her. I have a bunch of playthroughs on my channel. I'm doing all different difficulties like extreme, easy, hard, all that stuff against Ursula, playing it solo. And you can also do it 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player, and it's quite balanced, I think, throughout all the modes. And it's exact same rules too, which I really enjoy, right? Like that questing mechanic, it's so simple, but it works in a setting with 2 players, 3 players, solo against Ursula, or like co-op 4 players against Ursula as well. So I just really enjoyed that about Lorcana, that I can just kind of teach the game to anyone, and then we can play whatever we want to play. If we want to be on a team, we can do that, and play against the villain Ursula. If we want to play each other, we can also do that as well. The only thing that I would say about the game so far is that I think that the co-op version of the game, it can get a little bit dry. I think the replayability is not the best right now, because Ursula doesn't have as much nuances in what she can do, right? She kind of just auto does, like you just flip her cards for her, and what she does is pretty much just quest. So she kind of ignores your own board, and if she draws like an action, she will take out all your characters, or she'll just keep on questing. And I think that eventually when they bring in more villains, like I'm very excited for villains like Hades, or just really cool and iconic Disney villains. I'm sure they'll have more mechanics to spice the game up. This game is still really new. Like I said before, it's only been out for a little bit over a year, so having only only one co-op villain. I think limits the replayability if you're playing this in solo, but this is the first game so far that you can play solo. So if you really like Disney, then I definitely recommend picking this up. It is definitely, in my opinion, a breath of fresh air for a trading card game. And if you played this game before, I definitely recommend that you give it another shot, because I think that the nuances of this game definitely go way deeper the more you play. So as someone that, if you just start playing the game, I think that there's a lot of things that I missed personally. And the more and more that I play, the more that I've learned. And every single game is super duper different. And there is, because all trading card games have like a meta, there is a competitive meta, but right now, because the game, in my opinion, is quite balanced, the meta is like wide open, right? There's still like, anti-meta decks that can still win tournaments, and there's so many different inking groups of decks that are good right now, right? Like you don't know for a fact that like this specific deck is gonna win. You can copy the deck exactly, but you may still lose to a less popular deck, and that's one thing that I really like about card games like this. I don't want to just always have like three good decks and like three meta archetype type decks, and everyone's playing the exact same thing. Some people do play the exact same thing as the most popular stuff, but you can definitely play something less popular and still do pretty well. Even though you will have really bad matchups against specific meta decks, but you can still beat the other meta decks even if you don't necessarily have like the best cards or the best decks. So this is definitely a really fun game, and if you want to play it more casually, like I do, I think it's super duper fun as well. Just playing with just the star decks by themselves, it's still pretty balanced, and you can play with 3 players or 4 players. And one really cool thing I know I'm going pretty long on Lorcana, but I really love this game, is that if you do have like a fully built competitive deck, so like I have a pretty competitive deck, just because I've been playing for a while. If you play that same deck in like a 3 player setting or a 4 player setting, the deck suddenly feels balanced now, right? Because if you're questing a lot of lore, the other players can team up on you, and they can control you by working together, and then you will still lose if you play recklessly, right? So that's one thing I really like about the game, is that even if you bring your competitive deck, as long as you're not doing 1v1, if you're doing 1v1, then if you have like a crazy, optimized deck, you'll probably stomp, a newer player who has like a random deck. But if you play against multiple people, like 1v1v1, like 3 players, or you do like a 4 player game, then everything becomes way more balanced. So yeah, I really enjoy the game. I like diversity, and I love the different modes of play that Lorcana presents. And we're gonna move on to my number one favorite game. And if you guys have not guessed, it's what this channel is mostly about. That's gonna be Marvel Champions right here. So I have my own how to play Marvel Champions step-by-step tutorial right here, and I think that this is definitely my favorite game. Let me move this over a little bit. So this is my how to play guide on it. What can I say about Marvel Champions? It is a co-op game. So basically, you can play solo, and solo is my favorite way to play because it's the most difficult way to play, and I like optimizing my build. And basically, you're just playing a Marvel character. I should have mentioned that first. So the IP is usually what sells me into games like this. I love Marvel. I love Spider-Man. That's why my channel's name is the Web War Fanatic. But yeah, you can play as Spider-Man, and you really feel like Spider-Man is like living through these cards, which is just freaking amazing. So like you have Peter Parker in your alter ego. On the flip side of it, you have Spider-Man. So let's see, and then you have your hand right here. Let me see. So you can flip over. This is Peter Parker. So you have your alter ego and your alter ego ability, and then you can change forms to Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's ability is Spider Sense. When a villain initiates an attack against you, you can draw a card. Super duper thematic, really makes you feel like the character that you're playing. And then Spider-Man has cards like the backflip, where you can it's a 0 cost event, you can jump out of the way and prevent all damage from an attack. You have the enhanced Spider Sense to cancel a villain's treachery card. You have the webbed up card right here, where it feels like you're webbing up the villain, you can stun them, prevent them from attacking, block an activation. And you face iconic Marvel villains like Rhino right here, right? And he has his scheme stat of 1, attack stat of 2, and he just feels like a brute. He doesn't have much scheme to add threat or anything like that, but he's really just trying to damage you. And basically, you just want to stay alive, and you want to defeat the villain before they scheme out on their main schemes, right? So it's a super duper fun and thematic game. The deck building goes crazy in this game. It can get very, very diverse. There's 4 traditional aspects. You can play in protection, in justice, in leadership, or in aggression, and you can deck build however way that you want. And this is a co-op game, so you can play 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, or 4 players. And I personally house ruled, and I played this game with 5 players before. I think that it still works the exact same way. It does go a little bit longer whenever you do such high player counts. I do think that the best way to play Marvel Champions, like the most balanced way, I mean, is two players. Although you guys know my favorite is playing in true solo. But yeah, you can also do two-handed, so you can control two different heroes. I personally prefer just controlling one hero and playing solo or playing with another player because I want to feel like I am that character that I'm playing. Particularly, I like to feel like I'm Spider-Man. You guys know I love Peter Parker Spider-Man. So yeah, you can just deck build these cards. And my favorite thing about Marvel Champions is that it's a game that I can really go hardcore into, and I can really deck build and optimize and fine tune my deck. But I can just play with someone else that's playing like their pre-constructed deck for like a random character that they really like let's say like Ghost Spire, for example, and we can just team up against like Thanos, and we can still have a lot of fun even though I'm like really trying to maximize my deck and make perfect, have like perfect cards and like make sure everything like, synergizing and all that stuff. I can have a lot of fun with someone else that's not necessarily doing that and just wants to play the game and have fun. So I like that balance between that. I like games where so like with Splendor and with Coup and with Dorado, we always start in the same spot, right? Because those are more competitive games. So I want that balance where we can, where the game is balanced, right? But then with Mario Champions, because it's a co-op game, I can have like, a quote unquote better deck, but still play with someone else that doesn't want to spend that time and doesn't care enough, to really like, optimize that. They just want to have fun, but we can still play together and have a lot of fun together. So I guess that's where Marvel Champions appeals the most to me, that you can really spend a lot of energy to do your own thing, but you can play with someone else who doesn't want to do that. And you can play with someone else that does want to do that. That's kind of the most fun. But you can also play with a newer player that doesn't want to do that, and you guys can still have tons of fun together. And that's what all these games are about. It's just about having fun. So as long as you can play with people and have fun, that's really cool. The main reason I got this game was for me and my wife to play like a co-op game and team up together. She's not the biggest fan of Mario Champions. She still likes it a lot, but for solo, this is like a great game for me to really like dive, head into and spend a lot of energy on, as you can see on the channel. So I just love a game like that where we can still play together and have a lot of fun, but then I can also, because I'm a little bit more addictive to it, I can really spend a lot more energy playing into it and having fun in deck building and just brainstorming different ideas for different villains. So yeah, that's pretty much how the game works, and you just basically flip the villain cards automatically, and you just follow a certain amount of rules here for the villain phase reference right here. So you take turns in player order. On your turn, you may play cards. Trigger and request action. Okay, this is the player phase. Let me look up the villain phase one, so I have it pulled up on this video. Yeah, so here's like the villain phase reference here. So you place threat on the main scheme. That's number one, and it would tell you how much threat to place right here, right? Like with the +1 on Rhino's main scheme. Some main schemes would be like +2 per player or something like that. And then you just follow the orders here on this card, and that just pretty much directs you how to play the game. So super duper fun game. I love playing with Peter Parker Spider-Man. He teams up with Nick Fury, with Mockingbird. You have these different allies in your deck that you can put in, and it's really fun seeing these fun crossovers and how these different characters interact. And it's very, very thematic, right? So like for example, Wolverine, the ally, he heals the damage every single turn. The hero also heals 2 damage every single turn. So you can play Spider-Man, you can play the Wolverine ally, and then just see that fun crossovers that we have all seen and loved in the comics. So yeah, this is a super duper fun game. If you like Marvel, I definitely recommend playing Marvel Champions. Amazing solo game you can play by yourself, but also you can play with other people and have a lot of fun with friends as well. So yeah, that is it for my top 5 favorite games that I love playing right now. Let me know what you guys think about my list. Let me know if you guys have played these games before, and if you guys also enjoy these games as much as I do. And tell me any recommendation that you guys have that maybe it's a game that I have not played, that you think that I would like a lot based on my taste here for these 5 games. And yeah, I definitely recommend these games. If you guys have any questions on these games, let me know down in the comments, and I will reply to all the comments for this video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And I know if you're watching this video, you probably love playing Marvel Champions. I definitely recommend trying out these other games if you are looking for other party games or fun games to play. I hope everyone is having a fantastic holiday season, and I'll see you guys in the next video.